Christina asked, what about people who have no or limited choices due to war, hunger, forced indoctrination? And Dear Dad asked, I still can't understand why some of us have so many privileges, why many are so poor that they don't have the energy for spiritual things. And we just released a show called Life Isn't Fair, or Is It? Specifically about these kinds of questions. But I feel that behind all of these kinds of questions is a question that Harlan asked during one of our shows, which simply was, is God fair? And I thought that was a great question that I think is behind all these kinds of questions asking about the injustice in the world and why God allows it. So I wanted to offer a few more thoughts about that. And sometimes people will say, now don't give me that free will stuff, which is understandable, but you really can't dismiss that. And for more discussion on that, the importance of free will, the crucial importance, see our shows, Why Bad Things Happen, Spiritual Freedom, and What God Can't Do. But I want to move on to some other thoughts to offer in addressing the question, is God fair? I want to offer the thought that when we're looking at trouble in the world, we're not looking at whether God is fair or not, but whether humanity is fair or not. And what we're directly seeing is not how God works, but how humanity reacts to God's gifts. Swedenborg learned that there are levels of consciousness and awareness. He learned that though there is endless variety in heaven, there are three major levels of heaven that relate to three major levels of awareness. Each level sees life from a certain perspective. Divine Love and Wisdom 202 says, there are three heavens in the spiritual world. The thoughts of angels of the highest or third heaven are thoughts of purposes. The thoughts of angels of the intermediate or second heaven are thoughts of means. And the thoughts of angels of the lowest or first heaven are thoughts of results. Thinking on the basis of means and purposes comes from a higher level. And then Divine Love and Wisdom 203 says, since the deeper reaches of our minds are like the heavens as far as levels are concerned, their processes of perfection are similar. However, these processes are not perceptible to any of us as long as we are living in this world, since we are then on the lowest level, and the higher levels are unrecognizable from the lowest level. So he's saying that there are three levels of awareness, of perspective in the spiritual realm, and we have the potential for those levels in our minds too. And the three levels of perspective are from purposes, from means or causes, and from results. And the earthly point of view is on the level of results. So here's an analogy to think about. A child has a painful spot on her skin that's swollen and inflamed. All she knows is the results. It hurts, and that always feels unfair. Now, an adult can know to look for a cause of the pain and can find that there's a splinter in there. An adult can also know that the swelling and inflammation are brought about because there's this immune system that has a purpose to protect the body from threats. And as the immune system responds to the germs on the splinter, there's swelling and infection as the white blood cells die in the battle. So the result of the situation was pain and infection, but the cause was the splinter, and contained in the painful result is the protective actions of an immune system whose purpose is to heal the body. That infection can actually help drive out the cause eventually, like when you lance an infected wound, and as the infection comes out, it carries out the splinter and germs too. But there's even a purpose to the pain that the child was experiencing. The pain is an alert that something's wrong. A threat has invaded the body. Pain is calling attention to a problem that needs fixing. And getting that splinter out might hurt even more, the process of it, but it's the only way to get it out and heal the underlying problem. So during earthly life, if we look around us and only look at painful results, we're looking at it from a very low perspective. In our bodies, we don't even realize how much disease our immune system is constantly preventing. Similarly, we don't realize how much suffering God is preventing at every moment. But when the system has been over-abused, disease can result. And disease that is deep in the body, unseen, is much more dangerous than disease that is coming out on the surface. If disease is unknown and unseen, there is indeed an immune system working on it, but the person themselves might be continuing behavior that's actually feeding the disease and making it stronger. So when we see disorder and evil and suffering in the world, That means it is being driven to the surface, and the divine immune system is working on driving it out. We have to be alerted to the problem so that we can think hard about how we might all be perpetuating the problem through our own thoughts and feelings, our own actions or lack of actions. We can be alerted about how we need to help each other see what needs to be stopped and take actions to stop it. So, when looking at painful situations in the world, there's no relief or answers in staying stuck in the perspective of results. The results are there to wake us up, but we then have to move up mentally to the realm of causes and purposes. What are the causes? What are the evil purposes driving the harm? What are the good purposes that would confront them and need strengthening and support in order to succeed? And what can each one of us do to help? The very reason we can even notice that things are unfair on the earthly level is because of divine inflow, which is always working to set things back into order. It's God who is alerting us to see injustice, that something's wrong, that behaviors and attitudes need to change. But just seeing it isn't enough. If we stay just seeing it and lamenting about it, nothing changes. We have to then take action. God's love and wisdom are always flowing in to set things back into order, but we human beings are the instruments through which the order must come about. We were created to be the instruments through which a willing consent to goodness, altruism, justice, compassion, and generosity toward everything in creation happens. And then the healing union of all of creation with the love of the Creator can take place. To be upset about the symptoms without being willing to investigate the causes doesn't support the genuine divine cure or the divine healer who's constantly at work. Now, the dark side wants to inspire hopelessness, but I think things can only seem worse because our awareness of evil is getting better. Only because we're getting better at it, being able to know what a healthy way of life on earth should look like. It used to be that slavery and oppression and abuse were widely practiced openly with no real opposition. It was widely accepted that conquerors got to abuse and exploit the conquered, that owners of women, servants, children, animals had a right to abuse them. Now it has to be done in sneakier ways because more of humanity is no longer willing to tolerate it and will look for ways to push back. That is huge progress. There's still a long way to go, but that's huge progress. And remember, too, that everything external that happens on earth is temporary. After the very temporary suffering of life on earth, innocent victims will have all that pain washed away and healed in the afterlife, while willing perpetrators will suffer the consequences of their choices. So, also, we have to think about to have evil suddenly all wiped out would not be as pleasant an experience as we might think it would be. We have to understand how connected we all are. Our own negative thoughts and feelings connect us to these same dark forces that inspire the worst outward evils. And to wipe out all evil suddenly would put us into anguish way beyond physical hardship because it would be ripping apart our spirits, basically. Swedenborg was shown the intricate complexity of it all, and what happens when angels or God come full force into a situation before people are spiritually evolved and purified. That would actually put our spirits into writhing agony because our own negativity would violently react. The procedure has to follow a certain gradual order, or humanity could not survive the process. It's like the divine has to work carefully like a surgeon removing a tumor that has become entangled with the essential organs. So yes, God is fair. I want everyone to be able to believe that. In the moment, of course, all we want is the painkillers and the quick fixes without a serious change of individual and collective lifestyle, which is a lot of hard work. But only a genuine cure will bring lasting happiness. So when the symptoms arrive, bad things happening in the world, I believe there can be less anguish and delay if we can let our upset push us up into higher levels of mind, to think about causes and purposes, and from there ask God, how can I be part of the cure?